Dodo Juice is and always was a very special and a very popular brand when it comes to fanatics, fans and collectors of car waxes. Not only because Dodo Juice has a very extensive line of standard waxes, but they are also a brand that is very innovative and very busy, and they always come out with something special. Be it their independent wax label, which gave birth to brands like Bouncers or ODK, or their Supernatural lineup, or very special collector's items. And in this video here, I will present the newest wax creation by Dodo Juice. And when I say new, this wax was introduced a couple of days ago. This is Deus by Dodo Juice. So let's start this video with having a look at what this Deus actually is. In regards to the actual wax that's inside this pot, we can make it simple and easy and say it is either Supernatural Hybrid or Supernatural Hybrid Nano, so the existing two waxes, with added graphene. That's the new part, that's the innovation in regards to the wax that we have inside. The wax itself comes in this beautiful black box with a magnetic lid, very luxurious. You have this violet, purple inlays in there, and then you have the wax pot itself, which is, to be honest, the highlight of this whole thing, because this is not a plastic pot. Listen, this is a solid piece of, I think it's aluminium, but I'm not completely sure. It's some sort of metal. You can also hear it. That's not the sound which a plastic pot would make. And you have this, I don't know if it is forged or 3D printed. Fact of the matter is, it is not a label, it is not sticked on there. It is a texture that you have, very spectacular. The wax itself is not so spectacular. You can see it is grayish, blackish in color. And that's a bit disappointing because usually with Dodo Juice you get waxes which smell incredibly nice, and that's, to be perfectly honest, what I expected. But what you get instead is the typical solventy smell that you get from a lot of graphene waxes. So right now you probably tell yourself, well, that's a nice wax pot, and it probably also is a high performing wax because it has ceramic and hybrid and graphene in it. I want to have that. But now comes the bad news. This wax pot contains 30 milliliters of wax. That's it, 30 milliliters of wax. And this wax pot, and there simply is no way for me to soften the blow, this wax pot with 30 milliliters in it costs 95 pounds. 95 pounds. So let's round that up. 100 pounds for 30 milliliters of wax. 100 pounds for 30 milliliters of wax. And if we do a little bit of math, then this accounts for roughly 650 pounds for a 200 milliliter wax pot, which is the usual size for a large wax pot. And now we are deep, really deep into the Swiss wax and Zymel territory. And in this price range and in this territory, I have to be completely honest with you. If you look at waxes just from an objective, factual standpoint, there is not a single reason why a wax has to cost as much as this. There isn't, if we look at the wax content itself. However, this small pot is only half the story, because there's also a bigger one. And the bigger one is really big, is also made of metal, has, I think, leather inserts as well. I think the inside of the box here is made of velvet or suede, if I'm not mistaken. Here it is plastic. I think the outside of the box is leather, which all sounds very nice. And I think the wax content itself is 200 or 250 milliliters. I'll show you the website of Supernatural, because Dodo Juice excluded the Supernatural range from their regular website. I'll show you the website of Supernatural and the bigger wax here. This bigger one costs 950 pounds. That's £1,000 for a wax. Wow. Wow. And as I said before, there's not a single objective factual reason why a wax should or would cost that much. However, on the other side, we have to say Swiss Wax also has waxes which cost £1,000 and more. And with Swiss Wax, you don't get a special pot. With the Swiss Wax Crystal Rock, you get the exact same pot as with their Onyx wax, which is the cheapest wax they have. Same accounts for Zymel, although I think the very, very, very expensive waxes by Zymel. At the very least, we can say that Dodo Juice went all the way and created a special wax pot. And those metal pots, be it that they're aluminium or titanium or Inconel, because wax creators get very creative in this respect, Dodo Juice at least gave us a very special container and a very special box. You don't get that with those expensive guys over there. However, it still is an expensive wax, and we have to be honest about this. This is not a wax that you will get because you think you get an incredibly high performing wax, because no matter how easy this one is to apply, how long it lasts, how well it beats, how slick it is, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day we will find waxes which can do exactly that performance-wise but cost much less. This is, to be perfectly honest, this is a collector's piece. And I'm making this video because Dodo Juice is, amongst all the collector's waxes and collector's brands, one of the most desirable. And this is the newest creation within the Dodo Juice collector's line. And probably right now one of the most sought after waxes there are. And that's why we are doing this video. However, because I am not a person that collects these waxes just for the collection's sake, I like using those waxes. And that's why I am now going to completely destroy the value, the future value, the collector's value of this wax by actually using it and applying it to my car, so that we together and jointly can see what this wax is capable of. So, the car has been washed, cleaned and panel wiped and is therefore ready for the application of Supernatural Deus. I will use my favorite wax applicator for small wax pots, which is the Dodo Juice Wax app, because you can go in there with your fingers.
That's what she said!
And then, because it's rather narrow up front, you can get into those small wax pots. And what I will do now is I will write off £100 by wiping through there. That's it. That's £100 gone, because now no true and serious collector will want to buy that wax from me. So whilst I wax this car, maybe afterwards we will start to calculate how much money this one coat of wax is. Or maybe not. I think I don't want to know it. So whilst I wax this car, let's talk about what makes this wax so special. For a start, it's limited. These small pots, Dodo Juice says there will only ever be 300 made. And from the larger 250 milliliter ones, there only have been 15 produced. 15. So it's a very, very strictly limited wax, which of course increases its value for collectors and probably also increases its price if you don't use it, like I'm doing now. So that's one aspect. Then the wax pot is made from aluminium. So very exclusive stuff and very exclusive wax containers. Then the wax itself, Dodo Juice says that it contains silicon dioxide and graphene oxide. And Dodo Juice claims that this wax more or less is the absolute limit of what can be achieved in a paste wax form. However, Dodo Juice says that it will last up to 6 months, 4 to 6 months they say, so not longer than their hybrid waxes. Which puts claims by other manufacturers into perspective who claim that their waxes will last up to a year or more. And with this thought, I'm gonna leave you alone for a minute, because Dodo Juice always was a very, very fair manufacturer when it comes to product claims, and Dodo Juice also always fought a fight against untruthful, unfair product claims by other manufacturers. So they stay true to themselves with this new wax. There are hardly any guidelines. The only ones I found are back on this wax here, which says apply a thin layer of wax to cool, clean, polished paint and buff when hazed. That's it. There's no mentioning of curing times or anything like that, which probably means that, like any other wax by Dodo Juice, this is very easy, very simple, and it simply doesn't matter how long you leave it on there, which was especially true for these supernatural waxes. And I personally found that the longer you leave them on your car, the better they performed. Which means we will now wax the whole car and then start buffing. So as you just saw, I applied the Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus on the whole car. And to summarize my experience with the application of this wax, I would say it was unspectacular. But unspectacular is not a good thing in regards to this wax. You see, what I realized is that the application itself, so spreading the wax on the car, was easy. However, it was not as easy as with many other Dodo Juice waxes, especially the Core 8 series, so the Rainforest Drop, Orange Crush, Hard Candy and so on, and the Supernatural series itself. That's something I experienced with a lot of graphene waxes, especially also in the Pro Detailers magazine Graphene Wax Mega Test. I'll link you the video where I took part in this test here above in the corner. Because that's exactly what I experienced there. The graphene wax was a little bit harder to spread. However, the removal was one of the easiest I ever experienced with any wax out there. You wipe over the car with the towel 1 or 2 times and the wax is gone. And the paint is incredibly slick. I mean, really and honestly incredibly slick. It feels good. It looks good, the car looks shiny and glossy, but those are things you can also experience with other waxes. Considering what this wax costs, I expected more. I expected something spectacular. What I got was something unspectacular, because there's a scent missing in there. You have a slight whiff of solvents in there, which reminds me a little bit of the Dodo Juice Black Widow wax. So, as I said, I just expected more considering what this wax costs, and that's exactly the reason why I showed you the pictures and the videos of me applying this wax in fast forward mode. But there's a huge but in that regard, and let's talk about that now. The sad, simple, but also brutal reality and truth about testing limited editions is that no one cares about the results of these tests. The automotive equivalent of these things are limited editions by Lamborghini, Ferrari, Aston Martin or Porsche. And I mean, it is nice to know, and it is nice watching a test of a limited edition Ferrari like a 488 Pista, and it is nice to know that it is actually, or seems to be, a rather good car. However, the reality is that none of these tests will influence a buying decision, even if we see that a Ferrari 488 Pista is not quicker or even slower than a much cheaper Porsche 911 GT2 RS or GT3 RS. Because the reality is, it is a limited edition and collectors will want and buy these things no matter what these tests say. And it's exactly the same thing with these limited edition waxes. I mean, I told you that the Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus is incredibly easy to apply. It is unbelievably easy to remove. One of the best waxes I ever felt in regards to the removal. The paint is extremely slick and the paint looks very, very good after the application. I'm usually no one that says that products like these create gloss, because that comes from polishing your paint, but as you can see, the reflections of the paint are really, really sharp. And also, the hydrophobics that the wax creates are extremely impressive. And honestly, I have hardly ever used and tested and saw a wax with hydrophobics like these. Only very few waxes create such a nice and pronounced beading and also an incredible amount of sheeting. However, as I just told you, it really and simply doesn't matter what I tell you about this wax, because the wax collectors will get it anyhow and they don't care about how much it costs and they will never use it. And people who like the performance of this wax will say, well, yes, I like it, but I can have the exact same performance for much less money in other waxes. And that, unfortunately, is the sad but brutal reality of testing such waxes. It doesn't matter what I tell you. And even for me as a content and video creator, the value of this video here is limited, because in, I would say, at max a year's time, you cannot get this wax anymore because it will have sold out. So people can't buy it anymore, and therefore the relevance for this video will disappear rather quickly. And I know that a lot of you hoped that this will be a raving review, a celebration of the wax itself. But as I said, that's the brutal reality when it comes to reviewing limited edition waxes and also individual custom waxes. It is what it is. Now, of course, and independent of the fact whether someone is interested in it or not, we will of course properly test the Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus, which is why I have here a painted test panel, which I will now prepare, apply Deus to one side, and then we will do some serious testing. Deus now had a full day to fully cure, and now we will together remove the tape. I personally think that even without a strong light source, you can clearly see that Deus did something. Here you can clearly see that we have a darkening effect, a very strong one here in this light and from this angle as well. And so this shows and proves what I told you before regarding the finishing capabilities of this wax, which means, yeah, now you can see it clearly, which means we can now start with the water games. I think you can see from this angle as well that the Deus wax definitely did something for the finish. However, we will now spray water on the test panel in order to see the hydrophobics. Once again, you already saw it on the car itself. And afterwards, we will do some chemical resistancy tests. I have here Dodo Juice Born to be Mild, a regular pH neutral, highly concentrated car shampoo. We will wash over the panel a few times with that. Then I have Dodo Juice Cratilla, a citrus pre-wash, a very good one, a very strong one. We will see how the wax holds up against this. And then I have Dodo Juice Flies Undone, a very powerful insect remover, which we will also see how well the wax copes with that. Yeah, and as you saw, I think Dodo Juice has every right to call this a very, if not an extremely hydrophobic wax. But now we will start with the chemical resistance tests, and we start with the Dodo Juice Born to be Mild shampoo. A small amount in this wash bucket, which of course is not completely filled, as you can see. We mix it properly. Born to be Mild shampoo has such a nice peach scent, it's incredible. And now we will start washing. I think it's fair to say, and you saw what happened there, that the Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus is rather resistant against regular wash cycling. And funnily enough, what you also saw is wash cycle testing, which some manufacturers base their durability statements on. You saw that we washed over this panel now 12 times, and a manufacturer of car care products can now go ahead and say, a regular person washes his cars 2 times a month. 2 times a month multiplied with 12 washes, you could say that this wax will last 6 months. And I mean, you saw that the beading, the hydrophobicity has not started to degrade. We could repeat that wash cycle testing now until we see a degradation and then come up with a durability figure. That's how some manufacturers come up with their durability numbers. Now, of course, there's a limitation to this. We don't have the influence of dirt because, of course, when dirt is on this panel, dirt acts as an abrasive, which could accelerate the degradation of the wax. However, and for this video and for this test, I have to say that the Deus wax by Dodo Juice is very resistant when it comes to regular wash cycles. We will now repeat the whole procedure by adding a more powerful chemical, which is Dodo Juice Crocilla, a very good, very powerful, very capable citrus traffic film remover. Honestly, you can call me impressed because not many waxes will survive 5 rounds of a very powerful, capable citrus pre-wash. And I mean, you saw it. The beading is still going strong, sheeting also. I would even say the wax doesn't need to sheet because, as you see, the water doesn't have a chance on there. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed, and I start to think that Dodo Juice is right in calling this a very durable wax. So let's now repeat that with the insect remover. And now you can call me really, really impressed. I mean, that's a continuous theme in regards to Dodo Juice. I have a huge respect for the brand and the people behind it. However, every time I test their products, and I don't know why that is, I'm being completely transparent and open with you. I go into these tests not expecting that they perform as well as they do. I have no idea why, but it is what it is. It's the same with this wax. I was not expecting that it will do so well with 12 wash cycles with the regular car shampoo, 5 cycles hitting it with a citrus traffic film remover, and 5 cycles hitting it with an insect remover. Yes, we can see that the beading is starting to break down on some areas. We have some beads there which are not as uniform as they were before, but as a whole, it looks still very, very, very good. What we will do now is I will hit the panel again with the insect remover, because the insect remover was starting to do something there and started a degradation process. Plus I will wash then over it with the wash mitt. And so we have 2 influences, chemical and mechanical influence, which I think will start the degradation process of this wax rather quickly, but we will see what happens. Yeah, and now we saw that the hydrophobic properties degraded rather quickly. That's something I tell people all the time. Chemicals alone are usually not the issue. Washing or mechanical influences alone are usually not the issue. Issues arise when you combine those two. The so-called Sinner's Circle, if you're interested in it, you can Google it, is a basic principle of car chemistry which says every single chemical process always consists of chemistry, mechanics, temperature and time. And the issue, as I said, is not usually one of those aspects alone, but when you start combining them. When you wash your car, your waxed car, with very strong chemicals and you use mechanical abrasion, then those waxes start to degrade rather quickly. However, I have to tell you that I don't know of any wax that exists in the market which would withstand that, a very strong alkaline insect remover combined with a wash mitt. So at the end of the day, I'm still deeply impressed how well the Dodo Juice wax performed here. Truth be told, Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus, or Deus Rex, because it's the same wax just in a bigger pot, is a really, really good wax. The application is easy. Removal is, I would say, exceptionally easy. You saw that the water beading is probably the best I ever saw from a wax. There are only a few waxes which bead that good. You have incredible slickness, the car looks good, so the wax itself is really, really good. And you get a really nice box with a very, very cool, expensive and luxurious wax pot. So at the end of the day, I have to say, it is a really nice wax that you get, but it still is a very, very expensive wax. From a collector's point of view, I have to say, yes, you get something that works really, really well and is really special. However, if you are a serious collector, you will not use this wax, and therefore it doesn't matter to you that the wax actually performs well. And so at the end of the day, I have to let you decide if you want to get this wax, if the collector's heart in you screams that you really, really want to buy that, because to be perfectly honest, nothing that I just said matters, because if you want this wax, you will get it no matter what I just said. I'm now completely honest, open and transparent with you. I already finished this video and it is now 3 o'clock at night. The reason for that is that I finished the video, I rendered it, I uploaded it, and then I went to bed. And then the next couple of days, I had a strange feeling in my stomach. Something didn't feel right about the conclusion I gave in this video. Because the conclusion was, yes, this is a good wax. It's even, I would say, an excellent wax, but it's very expensive, and that nothing that I just said really matters because it's a collector's piece. And to be perfectly honest, this didn't feel right. And it is now, as I said, 3 o'clock at night. I was laying in my bed, and then I had an epiphany. Something sparked in my head, and I knew exactly what didn't feel right in the summary and in the conclusion of my original video. And I decided to go down here with my wax collection and start all over again with the conclusion of this video. And I think now I can express what I really think and feel about this wax. I am a wax collector, but as I already told you in the beginning of this video, I also try to really use every single one of those. I like using waxes. I'm not a ceramic coating guy, and I'm not a paint sealant guy. So I have quite a few points of comparison, and I have a bit of reference and context when I talk about waxes. And I grabbed myself some of the other graphene waxes that I have. And yes, I have some. There's the limited edition Adams one, the Chex Wax one, the Turtle Wax one, the Infinity Wax one, and the Shiny Chiefs one. It's a German brand. And with every single one of those waxes, there's something completely wrong and off. For a start, I personally have the feeling, I don't have proof to say that, but I have a feeling that the Adams limited edition one and the Chex Wax one are identical. They behave the same, they have the same properties, and they smell the same. And the smell with those two is I mean, I can accept when a wax doesn't have added scent, and I can accept that not everyone cares about scents. However, there's a difference between not having a scent or a slight solventy smell and a nose-numbing, stinking experience. That's what you get with those two waxes. Honestly, if you would go ahead and smell those two waxes like that, what I just did with the Dodo Juice wax, there's a high probability that you will pass out. Those two, they smell chemical, they smell poisonous, they don't smell good. And it could be acceptable with a standard wax like the Chex wax, but I personally think it's not acceptable with a highly expensive limited edition wax like the Adams. Otherwise, those two waxes are okay. They perform rather well, they have a good hydrophobics, they last a while. Application can be a little bit tricky. As I said, I personally think the smell of those waxes is an issue. Then we have the Turtle Wax, which smells amazing, really nice, really fruity. It is reasonably easy to apply, however, it can be streaky. It is priced fairly, I have to say that. Hydrophobics are good. The main issue with this wax is it would be, and it could be, a perfect all-rounder wax. And I would actually say it is. However, Turtle Wax promises durability numbers with this wax which it will not reach in a million years. It's not possible. And therefore, this wax and Turtle Wax once again disqualifies itself by saying that this wax will last X amount of months, when realistically this is a 1 to 3 month wax, max. The Infinity Wax Graphene Wax is a fantastic wax. It's easy to apply, it lasts quite a long time, surprisingly well actually. It smells of a perfume, I would say. It's not my preferred scent, but there is a scent in it. The Achilles heel of this wax is it is expensive. And that accounts for the big pot as well as the small pot. And with that, you don't get a special pot. It's the standard wax pot that you get with any other Infinity Wax. And then we have the Shiny Chiefs one. It's a German brand which is known for promising things that the products can't really fulfill. It's the same with this wax. It is actually the best wax that they have produced so far. I would also say it's a nice all-rounder wax, but it will not do the things that the manufacturer promises you, and it is also a very expensive wax. So there's a flaw with any single one of them. With the Dodo Juice, there are two flaws. It is expensive and we don't have a nice scent, which is something we have to come to which we have come to expect from Dodo Juice. It does not stink. I would say it's a slight solventy smell, but I would more so say that it is a shoe cream, shoe polish type of scent. It reminds me very much of the Dodo Juice Black Widow. That's about the scent we get there. Those are the only two flaws. Otherwise, it is a surprisingly extremely resistant wax, which translates into it being a very durable wax. It is exceptionally easy to apply, easier than any one of those, especially when it comes to the removal. It does something for the finish of your car. We clearly saw that in the testing I did in this video. And so, as I said, the only flaw are the scent and the price. And I will now say a sentence which I honestly don't really believe that I'm saying this, but it is true. If this wax would have a nice scent, it would be one of the best waxes I ever tested.
Say what?
And as you can see, I have quite a lot of reference points. It is an excellent, it is an exceptional, it is a really good wax. Which leaves us with the price. Yes, it is expensive, but at least you get a special wax pot. And it is a limited edition one, and you cannot get this wax formula in a lesser form in the standard Supernatural or Dodo Juice lineup. So, at the very least, you could say if you are a collector, you can be sure that you get a unique wax blend and a wax blend that works really, really, really well. And that brings me to the spark that I had in my head when I was laying in my bed. I have a few other special edition waxes or limited edition waxes or special waxes according to the manufacturer, also in special pots. Usually, and to be completely honest, with those waxes, they are that special. Maybe they smell nice, yes, they are nicely presented in nice pots, but they don't last long, they don't beat well. They are sometimes tricky to apply. They are not special compared to the standard waxes from the same manufacturers or other manufacturers. With this wax, we have a very special wax container, and we have a wax that is unique, and we have a wax that performs extremely well. And from this angle, I have to say that Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus, in fact, is a very special wax. I still struggle to say that the price is reasonable, but as I just told you, the wax blend is unique, the wax performs really well, and the pot, it really is special, especially the bigger one. And with this conclusion, I'm much more comfortable than with the first one. Dodo Juice Supernatural Deus is an exceptional wax. If you have the chance and if you have the funds and if you don't care about it not having a nice scent, and if you don't care about the high price, get it. And please use it. Please don't put it in your wax collection and never use it. It is too good as a wax for it not to be used. And honestly, that's the way I feel about this wax. It is exceptional. It is really, really good. And I'm more than happy that I redid this conclusion of the video, because the first one would not have been fair. This is rather special. As waxes go, as limited edition waxes go, as collector's waxes go, this is, I would say, this is one to definitely have. And with that conclusion, I'm happy, and with that conclusion, I'm now going back to bed because it is 3 o'clock in the morning. If you are happy with this video, if you liked it, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.